Yeah, I was reading this article, and it talked about this concept called the mere exposure effect. And
I'm glad I got that right.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, it would, dude. It was. I don't want to say it's a mouthful, but like it just. I don't think it's something that's easy. Those three words are not easy to remember.
Yeah, it's just odd.
It's an odd word, and the mere exposure effect is when you are exposed to something over and over again. It doesn't have to be with music. You find yourself enjoying it more. You just like it more.
Which seems counterintuitive to me, just because
I know.
it's like the laws of, I don't know, I think economics is like I think I've mentioned this before, but the number of times you go down the slide, you're going to like it at least every time, less and less.
Yeah, exactly. But there's like this weird love and like affinity that you have when you do something more and more. And maybe it's not the same kind of thrill. I don't know. Maybe it's not the same type of thrill. I mean, I don't know. You want to make it about like how people are together? Like, like a couple gets into their 50th year of marriage. Like there's no spark or whatever in comparison to like the first time they met. But there's like that weird long lasting like love that they can't quite describe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. Is this more going back to the nostalgia versus analysis side? Do you think that's more, I've been with them so long, I love them so much? Or is it more like, I learned something new about you every day?
That's both.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Okay. But yeah, when you do something over and over again, oddly enough in music, when you hear something over and over again, you're going to inherently like it more, which I feel like I agree with you that it has diminishing returns. But apparently, I have been accidentally in my history using the same productivity hack of WordPress creator and CEO. Forgetting his name, awkward. And what he does is he will listen to like 2 to 3 songs, maybe 4, or one song on a repeat. And it'll get him in a flow and he'll be more productive that way. What can I say? I figured it out.
That is pretty interesting. I think that the 2 things came to my mind when you were telling me about this. One, every time I pulled up to a cross-country meet in high school,
yeah,
right when we could see, the course, or if it was track, I could see the track, I would put on Dr. Dre, The Next Episode, because it's the next episode. And as soon as that hit, I was like, it's getting real right now.
It is.
Like, it's showtime.
You're good.
So that made me think about that, how you can get into some kind of, it almost seems like a catalyst to get you into some kind of state of mind.
Yeah, and since you have this exposure to the song over and over again in this session, not only just like over time, but like in this specific session, you're disassociating with the lyrics, which we're going to talk about more about how like music with lyrics is not the greatest for more mental tasks, right?
Right.
But since you are so focused on since you get sort of disassociated with the lyrics at this point, and you kind of just have this anticipation of like the whole song in itself in its repeat fashion, you're going to get so much out of this song, and you're almost going to get the similar effect as to what no music or ambient sound would have, since it's just the same thing over and over again.
Right. It comes to a point where you know it so well that it's just become almost numb to you. And it seems to take the place of what would be white noise, but probably a little more effective, just because, I don't know, and like thinking like the producer in me is thinking about how like if you have more noise there, it's not going to be like, you don't have to crank up your volume as much to get something that drowns things out. I feel like with white noise, you really got to like crank it full blast to get white noise. And and you're playing a game of, this is just annoying, like, how like the old TVs used to like glitch out and they had that terrible white noise. Yeah. Like you don't want it too loud. But yeah, I think it's like a better alternative to white noise where you become so numb to it. And it makes me think about a different study that I was reading about where it was kind of talking about this, I don't know if you call it a phenomenon, but they were talking about how you can create like a, let me go for the word here. It's like oral. Okay. An auditory cocoon in your workspace. So essentially it's like obviously, if you could share a desk with someone or have your own desk, what would you rather do?
I'd rather have my own desk.
Right. And so this whole auditory cocoon idea is saying that if it shows that having more workspace independence makes you more productive, then if you can control the sound space within your realm with some kind of mere exposure effect or white noise, then you're going to be way more productive than either music that's outside of your control or just the random noises of your coworkers or whoever it may be, roommates.
Looks around, looks outside the door. I mean, you're right. I think we ended up trying to do our own personal research and then kind of bounce ideas and arguments and whatnot off each other. But I found some like very similar concepts surrounding if you are interrupted, right? It's better to have like this constant stream of noise controlling your environment by having like the ambient noise, then like say you don't, right? And you're having complete silence, which apparently is the best thing for like neurological tasks. You know, like using your brain, it should be quiet.
Right.
But the flip side is if somebody just goes in your apartment and you get broken out of the flow of what you're doing, you're breaking up your workflow more. You're having that experience that all of us have when we haven't had noise canceling headphones of, oh my God, can they stop?
Right.
That will ruin your flow.
And what's interesting about that is that it seems that it doesn't even matter what the noise is, but the mere fact that it's out of your control is just enough. Like I really want to find the name of this study, but it was essentially this dude went around, I believe it was in Spain, and he was looking and surveying people to ask, what are the most obnoxious or irritating spots in your town to be around? And after collecting all this data, he returns to these spots where people said they reported the most irritation, and he finds that it's all the spots where there are consistently public performers.
Really?
And I was like, that is so funny that anyone would go around and ask, where are you most irritated in the city? To find out that everyone is irritated with street performers and all that kind of stuff. Which at first seems a little counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Because in Chicago, I think we have the famous drummers over by the the Art Institute.
Bucket
it's
Boys.
Like, the Bucket Boys. Like everybody loves those dudes. They're killing it. But I guess there's a lot of bad street performers out there.
You said it was in Spain?
I believe this was
Possibly.
in Spain. I need to find that name of that study. But yeah, it was super funny how he went around and that was the conclusion they found, was that any kind of music that is outside of your control was what people found most irritating.
See, I could see how people would say that, you know, but I don't know if I'm irritated by it. I kind of like the street performers.
Yeah, I think I do too. But I wonder how long they're there. Like, would you, walking by, maybe you're not irritated, but if you sat down for coffee or if you worked at the building next door, are you irritated then?
You know, okay, yeah, actually, my head's coming around to this. If I'm not in a date environment, I'll be annoyed.
Right, like, of course, you're going on a date. It's like, oh, it's cute.
Yeah, let's go watch That's like, oh, people are performing outside. That's so cool. Let's go do it. But then, like, you're by yourself. You're like, I don't want to hear this.
Yeah, it's like they're taking up the sidewalk space. You got to walk around and...
Oh, come on.
So I found that super interesting. It doesn't even matter what the noise is, but it just seems that there's some kind of level of control that either if you have it, it's going to make you happier, and if you don't, the contrary, it's going to make you irritated.
And what do you think about maybe the fact that in a public space, the one thing they can control maybe is their not auditory space, not their hearing space, but maybe just the normal flow of what's going on, like in what they're hearing and what they're seeing and when they're walking. They stick out, like street performers do stick out like a sore thumb, probably to the mind.
Right.
So maybe they're irritated due to the fact that like you are the one thing that's ruining this being a normal walk.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or not ruining, maybe in their mind we're ruining.
Yeah, at least irritating. Ruined seems harsh.
Yeah, it does seem harsh. That came out wrong.
Give street
But like
performance
ruining
cred.
the control though, I mean, I would say ruining's okay for if we're regarding like you're destroying the control that maybe this person thought he had over his experience of what being in public means.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You expect the sound of cars and
People chit-chatting,
just
walking.
Casual busyness, not some dude blaring his guitar or whatever it may be.
Do you think that person, when doing the study and the people, their responses also were including like just street performance where you can see what they were doing? So like the robot guys, like the golden men, like the guys, yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Are you saying like non-auditory experience?
Yeah, just like
no, this seemed to be exclusively, at least in the findings, relating to taking up auditory space.
Really?
Yeah.
Because man,
it was a music geared analysis, so I don't know if that was the intention going in, but that was certainly what they found.
That's interesting because you think it'd be if the study was substantial, there probably was a fair amount of people he asked. He probably got a good sample size. It's surprising that that's what came out, in my opinion. No,
it was funny. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, but when I'm working on something, or what, this is actually an interesting question. We talk about flow a lot. We're going to talk about how like ambient noise leads to best focus outside of silence and such, right?
Right.
When people aren't having these random honks, or even if they have consistent levels of honks and stuff in a city like New York or Chicago, you feel like they're in flow state regarding like their commute a lot of the time if there's not that sort of level of distraction? Do you think there's a similar level of annoying thunder or annoying whatever out of the blue when you're trying to work on something, or annoying slamming of a door to, I'm on this walk, I'm vibing, and then like, bam, this guy slaps me with this music? Do you think there's a similar level of like interruption of flow state maybe?
So it kind of sounds like you're saying on a day-to-day basis, you're always going to hear honking, or like, I'm going to use a personal example to disagree with you, but like one of our roommates always slams the door repetitive amount of times. I hear it every day, and that's the normal, commotion of the apartment at this point, but it has never become dull to me, at least at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to disagree that I don't think that would be some kind of place where you could find flow, just because there's so much inconsistency.
Oh no, I'm saying those people, maybe they're irritated because the performers are interrupting their flow state.
Yeah, I'm saying you can't find flow, even if there weren't street performers. No, I don't think you'd find flow with honking. And
that's sort of okay.
It just seems too sporadic and inconsistent. Like the whole thing with ambient music is that it's so familiar that it's numbing.
It just is.
Yeah, exactly. Stoic.
I am a stoic. No. I could be. That'd be cool, but I'm not. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
I just was thinking maybe it's possible to reach it even in a crowded mental and physical and auditory space.
Yeah.
But then
I think without that lack of consistency and familiarity, I would just say no.
Yeah, because then it goes back to like what we were talking about last week with decluttering, and that can even be more of a spatial and auditory thing as well.
Right.
So if it's not like, if you want to see this episode or any other episode of the Rise Productive podcast, make sure to go and check the show out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else that you can find podcasts today.